Well, happy Sunday morning.
Happy Sunday morning.
Happy Sunday morning.
Week 18.
Week 18.
Yeah.
The first Sunday Nook talk without the Seahawks.
Yeah, they played last night.
And my friend jinxed them.
Oh, it's always somebody jinxing them.
We were at the hi-fi and Janny and Veronica were trying to get the game on their phones.
Oh, yeah.
And
So you went to the one bar that doesn't have TVs? Let's go watch the high football game. Let's go to high.
yeah, John
On
wanted
our
it.
phones.
He lives in Seattle and he wanted to go there for the mushrooms. But he kept saying, it's a done deal. Seahawks are going to win. I said, stop saying that.
I'll admit, I was part of that jinx.
Oh, dear.
I was saying that as well.
Really?
I felt like it was a game they definitely could have won. I think the biggest downfall was that they committed themselves way too much to the run. I would like to have seen more passes from Russell and more runs from Russell, more design runs for him to take the ball.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like the obvious thing. Watching Facebook this morning, everybody wants to badmouth the refs, which I don't even remember any really bad calls.
Just a couple.
I wasn't paying attention too much.
A couple calls on the last drive, Dallas, with those pass interference calls.
Yeah,
They were
just,
questionable, but
the run game was just bullshit. And they just kept with it for halfway through the fourth quarter. Then they finally started throwing the ball. It's like, what the hell?
yeah.
So they're completely out of it now, right?
Oh,
Yeah, and that's the thing that's most shocking is that usually when it comes down to the playoffs, it's like win or go home. So then you'll see the quarterback run more.
And everything more.
Everything more, yeah. And it's just the only thing they... I don't know. I think it just goes to show that one of our needs as a team is a wide receiver. A serious, deep threat wide receiver.
Oh, what about Lockett?
Lockett had, 2 or 3 catches? Baldwin had 1 catch? Moore had no catches. There really wasn't anybody receiver-wise that's top notch.
We got to throw the ball, catch it.
You double team Doug Baldwin, and everybody else is easy to take care of. I don't know. Besides the offensive line, they just need some more weapons on offense, I think.
Well,
Running game's fine.
I've always been skeptical of Pete Carroll's calling.
Yeah, him and the offensive coordinator.
I mean, they threw it when they should have given it to Marshawn Lynch. That was so stupid
Yeah.
to lose the Super Bowl the first time or the second time.
And there really wasn't any bonehead plays called. I just feel like the game plan was a little off.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm not a pro. They're
I could
pros.
swear I saw Carroll's attitude change after they renewed his contract.
Yeah, not a big fan.
I like Pete Carroll, though. I mean, for what he's done, it's been pretty impressive. I think this contract extension he signed will be the last one, but it should be next 3 years, I think.
Yeah, well, they did a lot better this season than everybody expected them to.
For sure.
Really?
Just going to the playoffs was unbelievable.
I think you said 4-10.
Mhm.
Randall said, or Frank said 5-9, and I said, I think I said 7-8 or something like that. So yeah, wasn't even. They went 10-6, so that's pretty good.
Wow. Yeah.
In a
That's-
rebuilding year, when really they just need to get a couple more drafts in order, and they'll be fine.
Well, who's playing today?
Today is Chargers versus Ravens, which will be a good one. LA Chargers versus Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. And the Eagles versus the Bears
Oh, yeah.
in
Bears.
Chicago.
Yeah.
So those will be 2 good games, I think.
Nice.
So baseball season has officially begun. That's what everybody's been talking about.
Yeah, Mariners.
You inspired me with your comment earlier. The hockey team that's coming to Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think of names. I think the Seattle Mushrooms would be cool.
Mushrooms.
Yeah,
The Shrooms.
the Seattle Shrooms. Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, but they're like fungus.
Yeah.
It'd be the fun guys.
Yeah. Seattle Chanterelles.
The chanterelles, yeah, that's a good one.
Anyway,
We were just reading this morning about this. There's a charter school discussion coming to Bremerton. And so, of course, you got to read the comment section.
yeah, naturally.
Yeah, Kristen Trask made a few comments. If they have a charter school, I'll definitely move back to Bremerton and
Oh,
put my
wow.
kid in that.
Are you serious?
The
That's
schools
what the guy
aren't here aren't
said?
that bad.
I mean, it's just like, thanks, Kristen.
I've
And then
tutored.
then she even put later, she's like, oh, never mind, I just read the article.
Yeah.
So what did you read that changed your mind?
Yeah.
I've tutored in the Bremerton schools, and I think it's a very fine school system.
I grew up in Tacoma and moved out here, and I was shocked by how much better the schools out here were.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, they're way, way better than the Seattle schools. The Seattle schools
So whenever
are
people
such
talk-
a mess.
Yeah, whenever people talk poor about schools out here, I'm just like, man, you
Yeah.
have no idea. You've never been outside of the school district.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, I won't mention my thoughts on that, but I will say about the charter schools, one of the big drawbacks, and I even saw it in here, is like, you know, if the parents aren't involved and the kids can't go there. So already that's already a discrimination of sorts.
Yeah, because there's some busy
Well,
parents.
it
out
is,
there.
yeah. And
Yeah.
what if both parents have to work?
Or there's only one parent.
Or there's,
Yeah.
exactly.
And you've got 4 kids, and they're in different schools because they only accept certain kids. And that was the other thing. Another person commented, which is a typical thing: if the kids are misbehaving, then they can't be in the school. So it's like, okay, so what do you do? Put them back at the public school? You know, so it's like
How
you
can
gotta
you-
just pick and choose which kids you get, the good ones. You know, I mean, that's what you're saying basically.
Yeah, and I think they have been doing that.
And then the other big issue is access to special needs students. So, you know, okay, so let's say a kid has autism and their behavior is being loud and that's just part of who they are. Are you going to take them, or is that a behavior issue? And now you're discriminating because of special needs.
Hmm.
So those are all questions that...
Well, you're probably more likely to
Yes.
get an active, involved parent with someone who has a disability or special need.
Well, I
You
wouldn't
know.
say that at all.
Well, I'm just saying that as far as like trying to do something for their children, if it meant them staying in that school and getting that education that they need to be getting, that might be the case. That parent might have already committed so much time to this child that for them it wouldn't be so much, maybe.
Well, just what if the parent wants their kid to go to that charter school and then they don't have the resources that the public school has for that kid?
Right.
Then
And they say, no, we don't
they
want
say,
that kid.
We can't handle them. So then the public school just becomes the place where all the kids that are less than charter school material are in the public schools, and that's not exactly right.
I think we discussed this before, how interesting it would be to have a school where you have students who excel, students who are leaders in their class, mixed with students who have struggles. So you take on these students that have struggles, and then you mix them in with students that thrive.
Well, I think that's the general story. That's what they're typically doing in elementary schools, and already, such as back when we were in elementary school, probably more particularly us, they had like the classes for the kids that were reading faster and the classes for the kids with math that were faster, so you'd be different groups. Like, you know, if you're slow in math, you were part of the turtle group, and if you were good in math, you were part of the rabbit group or the
But you were
cheetah.
separated, weren't you?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, is that they would take you from one class, put you in another class. And we still kind of do that, ability grouping. But in general, a lot of teachers don't want to do that because they do want to have the high-end achieving kids with the low-end achieving kids because they can learn from them.
My kids went through the supposed best school system in Michigan, and after several years of trying this and that, they discovered that they were actually lowering the achieving kids. They were trying to find some middle ground, and rather than raise everybody up, it brought them down in the
Oh
middle.
yeah, well that's the thing about public schools, is lowering the bar has always been a big thing.
Yeah.
Well, and there's also been a big thing, in particularly high schools, but they have it in elementary and middle school too, for highly capable kids or gifted children or
AP,
whatever.
you know, so.
And in the high schools, then they have AP classes. Well, just getting an AP physics teacher or a calculus teacher is difficult. So you'd have to be pretty good at physics and calculus to be a professor or a high school teacher at that. So already you're taking like a more skilled advanced teacher and putting them with the more skilled advanced students. So what does that leave for the rest of the kids?
By the way, there's another
that make
issue
sense?
too.
Yeah.
I know.
So the high end kids that get to get all the good teachers in a sense,
morning.
the other ones are left with nothing.
There's another issue too, though, because I know a woman who is very involved in the schools, and her son was doing very poorly, and she wanted him in the advanced classes. And they said, well, no, he doesn't have the grades, he doesn't show blah, blah, blah. Well, she kept trying to explain to them that the reason he wasn't doing well is that he was bored out of his mind. And so she did get him into the advanced program, and he is thriving.
Well, and that's sometimes the case, but oftentimes you'll hear parents that my kid's just bored.
Kid's genius.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, my kid's, he's acting out because he's
Special.
bored. It's like, okay, let's look at their test scores. Okay, they didn't do as well on this as they did, and it's like, you're gonna tell me he's bored with that multiplication sheet for a minute? And if he is, too bad. I've said that many times. I'm not Nickelodeon. This is not your entertainment session.
Get some green slime dropped on John. Mr. Burrow and green slime him. You want to get in on this, bro?
Yeah, I was just trying to find some sugar.
There should be some up there. Maybe at the very top. Or is that just salt?
Well,
Do you want the end or do you want inside?
doesn't matter.
So, yeah, I grew up in Tacoma, so I went to Manitoba Elementary, which wasn't that bad, except for we didn't have a grass field. We had a dirt field.
Like Chico.
And it was like fine gravel, actually.
Wouldn't want to fall down on that too
But
often.
the teachers weren't bad. I don't remember having a bad experience with the teachers. It was middle school and high school that was strange. Gray Middle School, in particular, we just fucked off as kids. So much. I failed all my classes. And it still just went on. And never learned a damn thing. So when I went to high school, I was kind of fucked. And then when I went to high school, it was the same thing. We just fucked off. And I failed geometry 3 times in high school. And after the third time, they were like, we're just going to give you a D plus,
And get you out of
get
here.
you out of here. And I was like, sweet.
Well, that's the whole thing about retention. The joke is that if we started retaining kids because they weren't meeting standard, we'd have to build bigger parking lots in the elementary school because they'll start driving to school when they're 16 years old.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and so they say, oh, they lowered the bar. It's like, well, what are you going to do? I mean, what can you do? You just can't keep, I don't know.
Something funny, and I just started thinking about this because, you guys talking about education, and just reminded me of the conversation we had with Sean and stuff last night. We were talking about poverty and all that shit. But I did a lot better in school whenever my family was poor. Like whenever they started making more money and stuff, my parents working a lot more. Didn't really give a fuck. That's when kind of like I became like a latchkey kid and started doing more different shit, whatever. But used to be, I'd come home, my mom would sit down with me, help me with my homework, we'd read together and shit like that, whatever. And obviously, and also until I got older, whenever they started making more money, whatever. But yeah, I did a lot better whenever I was younger in school. And then after it was like, you're passing? Yeah. Okay, you guys give a fuck. I did a better.
See you later.
Yeah.
I was a free range kid. And I actually didn't miss a day of school in high school until my senior year. And the thing is that because I was having so much fun fucking off.
Well, we talked about this, Sean a little bit last night too, but this whole idea that education is going to solve all these problems is such a scapegoat for people's personal decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, they just didn't know better, that's why they eat poorly. And it's like, no, you made that choice. You know that eating that muffin or eating that box of muffins or cupcakes,
Eating those ho-hos.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows that.
So I'm like, he speaks with like naive altruism, like he fucking, if they could do this, if we had this, they would do it. I'm like, no, bro, there's assholes on each side of the spectrum. No matter how you fucking break it down.
It didn't take me long to realize fast food was way more expensive than going and making my own food.
Right.
Like
But
you get a fucking sack of potatoes
Absolutely.
for fucking, a couple fucking bucks. A bag of rice for fucking a couple bucks.
I've had a lot of people
Beans and
tell me
food
that
banks.
too expensive to eat well.
Right.
They
That's
think
It's
it's,
not too expensive to eat well. It's more expensive to eat well.
Well, not even that. Like,
Yes, it is. I know
well,
that for a fact.
well, what do you mean by eating well?
Yeah, really.
Eating well.
Grass-fed meat.
Okay, you don't need to eat
You
grass
don't
fed
eat-
meat.
or
Yeah,
meat.
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
you don't need that.
Okay, so eating well to
Okay.
me is eating
Meat.
healthy. Like,
There's a difference
Brown
between
rice.
Winco
Rice and
produce
beans,
and
man.
Trader
Whole
Joe's
grain
produce.
pasta, beans.
And you know, that's when you eat like a lot of families do. My family did. You had your standard little meals, and every once in a while you'd have a nice meal. You
Uh-huh.
know, every Sunday my mom would make a pot roast or something
Yes,
like that.
that's what we had every
But
Sunday,
Monday
yes.
was macaroni, Tuesday was spaghetti, Wednesday was tacos, and you know we didn't eat out at all. But we ate well, we ate healthily, but it was cheap. You know,
Yeah,
I mean my dad was feeding 6 kids.
you can eat
And
really,
he's
really
frugal.
well for very
Canned
little
food
money.
versus
Yeah,
fucking
we didn't do
fresh
canned
food.
food. Yeah.
Canned
And,
food is very popular.
and even still, like I was saying, I think the opportunity to eat well is a lot better than it was 30 years ago. For example, food banks. I mean, you can go to any food bank and go get a bag of food, and it's there all the time.
have you looked at the shit that
Do
you
you-
can get on the EBT card? You can get a lot of stuff on the EBT card nowadays, you know? Hell, I was watching a video and it fucking disgusted me. Chick actually made a music video out of it called "It's Free Swipe My EBT," but no bullshit. But she fucking before she made the music video, she's sitting around and she's just talking about like
Throwing in Reese's
what she can get
PCs
on,
and shit.
yeah, what she can get on EBT like for free, and yeah.
It's all about education, even if you have to make it into a rap song. I don't know. I was surprised when I first got food card. I was surprised by how convenient it was that they put it on a card and it wasn't in a checkbook stamp anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Because back then it was a shame. You were ashamed to use that in line. Because you always had to wait till you got to the register in front of the clerk to pull it out, rip it out. And if you ripped it in half on accident, you were fucked. So when a few
Really?
years ago when I lost my job, I got on the food card system and I was surprised by how electronic it was and how convenient it was and what I can get with that shit. I was like, whoa.
When I was in college, I knew a bunch of people that had food stamp tickets, and they would trade them to me for cash.
Yeah, I've seen
It's like
people.
20
I've seen
bucks for
people.
10 bucks.
I've seen people bring. I went and picked up
Really?
before weed was legal. I used to go buy weed from this guy, and he took EBT as payment. And even though I never paid him in that, I would be there hanging out with him. He'd have somebody come over and bring him their card. He'd have like 4 or 5 different EBT cards that he would use, and just trade it for weed. You know, it's just crazy.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, if this is happening in this one spot with 5 accounts, can you imagine how wide it is across the state?
The naive altruism again. People, you know, if they had the access, people wouldn't do that. You know, they would use it to provide for family. No, Sean.
I know that
people
for a
are
fact.
people are assholes, man.
And he was only giving him like 25 or 30 cents on the dollar in weed credit. So, you know, it's out there for sure. Lots of fraud.
Wow.
But that's why they were like, we drug test. And it's like, yeah, well, that's kind of iffy too. Which I'm not totally against because I think you can pop for weed and still get a food card. But if you're doing meth and crack and heroin, you probably shouldn't be getting a food card. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Because there's a chance that's where the fraud's going to be more prevalent for sure.
And you know, I say it all the time. I think that that's the lowest priority of where we have entitlement programs. I mean, we give so little in food stamps to people compared to the proportion of bailouts we've given to the farmers that we bail out for. Boeing doesn't pay any taxes. You know, Amazon, they don't pay taxes. You know, all sorts of stuff. So
Oil companies
yeah,
are
so
subsidized.
I'm not one to just focus on this, but when it comes to education, once again, you can't just say, oh, they're not educated, so that's why they don't know how to eat well, or they're not educated, that's why, you know, we need to give them free shit. It's like, okay, well,
They don't know that there's a place where you can apply for work.
yeah, I mean, that's what it feels like. They just don't know to eat better. Or it's so much more expensive. That was his thing. It's so much more expensive to eat well than, and I just don't believe that.
Yeah.
And you see families that come over here from Korea, for example, and they don't have shit, and they got 5 kids or whatever, and they're eating rice and beans.
They're
And,
healthy looking.
yeah. And they got jobs. and they care about their kids' education, and they do well at school,
I don't know. I do think
and they're poor as
there
shit.
should be a universal income. I think for those who don't want to work, not
What?
those who can't work, but those who don't want to work. Because think about it. There's a lot of people out there that just don't want to work,
Right.
and they're using programs to get by. Well, instead of trying to decide who's using it, who's not, or whatever, just have them apply. Okay, and you get a monthly income, and it's basically for survival.
And who
It's for
gives
a
them
place
that?
to
Who
stay.
gives them that money?
You know who gives them the money.
Me.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
thing is that it necessarily won't have to
They
come
can
out.
clean my fucking yard. Do you want
There's-
me to give them money?
But listen to me on this, okay? I was thinking about this the other day. Basically, they're gonna choose to not work, okay? Keep them in that online streaming mode, gaming mode, or whatever, and then get money out of them because you know that they're gonna be there, and they're gonna be getting this monthly benefit, and they have to put their name and application in for it, okay? And reasons why, and whatnot. Well, if they ever come up and be a gamer and make millions of dollars on YouTube from staying home all day and not having a job, they have to pay that back.
So basically, you like investing money in a bond that you don't know if it's going to mature.
Exactly. And if
Yeah.
it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Well, I got another idea. We should get you all free housing and free food, and you put them in these buildings, and you put this big fence around it, and you take the fucking key.
Sounds like a penitentiary.
Yeah,
They already have
I
those.
know. That's what I'm talking about.
I can't wait till they start releasing all the fucking marijuana inmates.
Yeah, Jay Ansley just proposed
Can you
that
imagine?
from just like 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
I 1000% agree with that shit.
Oh hell! Can you imagine being in jail
I
still
have a
for
friend-
selling ounces of weed while everyone out there like, hey, it's free weed! We're fucking smoking weed! We're buying it at the shop! You're just sitting there in jail.
You want to hear a tragic story? I have a friend who was house sitting, and it got busted, and there were all kinds of marijuana plants. This is a couple of decades ago. And he wouldn't roll over on the owners who had disappeared. They were on the lam for a couple of years. Because he wouldn't roll over on his friends, he got 10 years in federal prison
Damn.
with no
Tommy
chance
Chong
of
style.
parole, nothing, 10 years. And they finally gave themselves up after 3 or 4 years on the run. They got 2 years. And you know what's sad about it? One Sunday morning, we were walking in downtown Seattle, and it's like 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning or something. And there was nobody around, and he would not cross the street until he got that white man and said, okay.
Yeah.
Flashing
Institutionalized.
saying,
don't
you can
fucking-
cross now. Because I'm halfway
don't
across the
blame you.
street going, where the hell are you?
Yeah. What the fuck, dude? You're free now, okay? Get over it.
One bit.
Jeez. I'm trying to get across the street.
Well, speaking of fences, we still don't have a wall, and the
Jesus
government's
Christ.
on week 3 now shut down.
Hey.
The president says it can take years, which is going to make a whole lot of people waiting for tax refunds unhappy.
Yeah. Well,
Same thing last year during this time of the year. We were wondering if the IRS was going to be accepting returns, and they did.
Do I have to pay them still?
Dude, I'm the first one to submit my tax return. They better be ready for that shit.
Well, supposedly they've furloughed a lot of those people. There aren't enough workers to hand out your
That's
refunds.
bullshit. When Trump got elected, he said my tax return would be bigger than it ever was.
And that Mexico
I'm
was going to
holding
pay for
to
the
it.
wall.
Yes.
Well, those
And he still thinks so. He still thinks so, that this new trade agreement is going to bring in billions of dollars of revenue. So essentially they are paying for it. And then,
I
what's
don't
her
see
name?
where that money is, though.
Huckabee was on there saying, "Yeah, I dare Pelosi to take down her fences and take fences around their houses and take the fence away from
It's not the same, bitch.
And so I was listening to NPR this morning. The guy, one of the security guards down there, like one of the directors of the whole thing, he's like, "We need help with our roads, with our infrastructures to get people." He says we got 10,000 people that cross every day across that border, and they're legal people, and we need help on those bridges.
I
And
heard
it's
that.
affecting our economy. Just as soon as they
Yeah.
said we're going to build a wall, the manufacturing plants were like, "Well, how many widgets are we going to produce this month? Because
Yeah.
we don't even know if we can bring it across anymore."
Yeah.
So it's just slowed down all this productivity. It's nothing but, like he even said, it's a political football that they're just using.
So political and so stupid. It's
Well,
just
even the
gonna-
Republicans are turning against it now. You know, they're just like, no, this
Well, I
isn't
know
right.
that
Imagine it.
Susan, what's her name, from Maine, and there's another dude that is up for re-election, and they have to be really careful what they're saying and doing. Collins.
Can you imagine
that's
200
right.
years from now how our society is going to view that wall? If our society still exists as what it is today.
Well, when's the session start? Has it started?
What
the,
session?
The House, the congressional.
Yes, it started
It started.
on the 4th.
Well, I haven't heard anything other than Pelosi's. Oh, I'm the Speaker of the House. It's a woman.
I don't think she won by that much because McCarthy got 192 votes, I think, and she only got 220.
Yay! Yeah,
Because there were, some of the new Democrats had to vote against her.
yeah.
There were abstentions and a couple of people said present.
I want to see the Republicans get dirty and impeach Trump.
I don't
God.
want him impeached because then we have Pence,
I know, but
Yeah.
still,
who's a real
if he doesn't
strange
get
one.
impeached, there's a chance he might win in 2020 because there's no good candidates out there that want to run for president. All the good candidates are just like, I don't want to run for president. I like my life the way it is. Why would I want to fuck it up? Possibly get assassinated.
I think Pence would be better because he is more stable, and his stability and his ability on the world game. He's not going to just say, "Hey, I'm firing our the Secretary of State just quit." The Secretary of the Pentagon just quit.
Yeah, he's not going to call up Putin and be like, hey, let's meet up, bro.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a little bit more, presidential on the world stage. He's not going to go meet with Kim Jong Un just because it's cool.
And then he's going to try to get everybody's to like him so that way he can run in 2020.
Yeah,
But then someone in the Democratic Party's got to come up. Jon Stewart, fucking
yeah,
Stephen Colbert,
yeah.
It
even
sure is
Oprah.
not going to be Elizabeth Warren.
No, she's
She doesn't
really.
have a prayer.
I don't think so either.
That's
Fuck
what
no.
we need someone electable.
Yeah, Selma Hayek.
I haven't heard from Avenatti in a while.
Yeah, he's going some legal
Fuck
issues.
that dude.
Yeah, I knew he was a creeper. But
Who's this?
Michael Avenatti was the lawyer for Stormy Daniels,
Oh,
and he was saying, "Yeah, I might run for president. They need some fresh blood." And blah, blah,
Oh,
blah.
I was saying last night, man, I'm about to change my name to D's Nuts and trying to make a comeback as president. If you think about it right now, with the way our society is and our country's going, someone who calls themselves D's Nuts again might actually win. If there's no good candidate, people are going to vote for D's Nuts.
You know, that's so fucking terrifying to me to say that, and like that's one of the reasons why I think that Trump is going to win in 2020 because he's the most polarizing motherfucker.
That's it.
And that's what fucking gets you to victory nowadays, you know? Like, the Wayne The Rock Johnson
Yeah.
ran for president,
There's no
all he had
rules.
to do was raise an eyebrow. Like, he wouldn't have to think shit about his politics or something at all.
Yep.
And he would fucking win.
And D's nuts could have been a Russian thing. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just like everybody's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna vote for D's nuts," and all those votes that people were saying I'm voting for D's nuts, that took away from Hillary, that took away from Bernie Sanders, that took away from,
Ralph Nader.
Yeah, same kind of thing.
That guy's probably still kicking around, fucking talking shit. Did you know he invented airbags?
And that's the thing that
Ralph Nader.
that's the problem that I see
Really?
with
Yeah.
this new young vote that people are jumping on this socialist democratic idea is because it's too easy, I think, for people to just say, "Oh, I'm going to go with that. Click the button, click the button, click the button," and they don't think about the repercussions of a lot of this stuff. I am glad to see fresh blood in there for sure, but we'll see how they vote eventually.
yeah. It is going to be interesting because I don't think very many of them have even local committee experience.
No, but Trump never did either. And a lot of the people that are being elected are more than that Ortiz person who was just a bartender, I guess. You know, I mean, some of these people are like retired doctors and scientists and stuff who just said enough is enough. We got to get in there and we
I'm
can't just
sorry,
sit
but I
back.
think I'd rather see a bartender in there than a doctor.
Well, the only reason I think that a doctor or a businessman or a businesswoman,
Business people are fine.
because they've demonstrated leadership, at least in their field. You know, you can't be a doctor without having spent some sort of education.
Residency.
You know,
What do you think about Ben Carson?
Well, there's good doctors and bad
That was
doctors.
mean of me, wasn't it?
No,
I think he's got a message on this. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, there it is.
he's not the Surgeon General.
Oh.
He's the housing authority. He's in charge of housing.
Health and, what's it called? Health and whatever. Yeah.
Health inspector.
Well, the other weird thing that they're talking about with these, that the government shut down, is all these public forests that are getting polluted and aren't being run. Like, whole state of Nevada, their whole ski resorts are just being, right before Christmas, they were being shut down, so they didn't have anybody to, like, open the gates and, take out the garbage, put toilet paper in the bathrooms, all sorts of stuff.
I didn't realize that Nevada has such a high percentage of public lands.
Yeah.
Didn't I hear 80% this morning? I'm sure
I
you
wouldn't
were
doubt
listening
it.
to the same thing.
Well, a lot of it's desert, isn't it?
Well, a lot of it's just the government, when they did their expansionism, bought everything.
There are volunteers, though, going to some of the parks
Yeah.
to clean up and keep things going a little bit.
An extended government shutdown would be interesting. It'd be nice to be able to start from the scratch again almost. Like what is necessary, what's not, what's costing what, can it be done by costing less? Because one of the things about the government is overspending, I think.
I agree. And that's back to that entitlement program. And you've seen it in the military, I'm sure. I see it in schools for sure. It's like, no, wait a minute, we don't have enough of this and that and the other thing, but we just bought a football field for
Yeah.
$1 million.
Flint still doesn't have clean water. We're talking about doing a wall. I
Right.
mean, all the good things that we can do in Mexico to make it more livable down there with $3 billion.
Well, that's the thing. It's like the number of people coming from Mexico is shrunk like 70%.
They're
over.
going back.
They're going
the
back.
Mexicans are going that way. It's the people from the Central American countries.
Right.
And that's what bothers me.
Right.
We seem to have no problem going to war in any country we want. Why are we not going down there and
Well,
making it better for those people who live there?
And then more Americans will want to go down there and take their money down there, and people will want to stay down there and get that tourist money.
But we did that already. That's what the problem is. We went down there, overthrew their dictatorships, put in our own dictatorship, and then
true, I
they're
forgot that.
corrupt. And so they've been
Oh, geez.
receiving
Yeah.
subsidy money and what do they call it? Foreign aid money for decades and
And now
decades and decades,
Yeah.
and then they just spend it corruptly
The gangs and drug dealers do run the thing down there.
because the
But
corrupt
that's-
politicians that we're paying for, and
Okay,
that we don't
so-
give a shit.
I would like to end the war on drugs. Let every adult put whatever they want in their bodies, and it will end all this crime. If you make drugs legal, you're going to take away the drug lord's business.
How about prostitution?
I'm all for.
Just making sure.
I'm all for prostitutes.
But the thing is that
They
You can
provide a very
legalize- or
necessary
you can-
service.
That's an app idea.
you can decriminalize drugs, which will be good for the prison system. It'll lower that.
Yes.
But there will still be crimes as a result of it because of people ripping each other off.
Not as much, and I think you see that already with pot legalization. People used to rob people's houses for marijuana.
Yeah,
I don't
but
see that
legalization
anymore.
is different. I would say decriminalization because you don't want to sell heroin out of a shop in Bremerton.
They're doing it in Seattle, in
No.
safe houses.
Or meth. You don't want to have somebody let's go down to Tom's meth den down on Callow and go buy some meth. And then-
I feel like if they did that, it'd be like buying porn before the internet.
no.
Fucking put a hoodie on and shit. You don't want your friends to see you going inside the store.
Well, I said this about legalization
Yeah.
of marijuana when it was first medical marijuana. If it's medical and it's medical marijuana and you need a doctor's card from it, why aren't you getting it from the drugstore like all the other fucking drugs you have to get? You get a prescription, you have to register, you put your name in, you get your prescription, and everybody knows what you're doing. And that's why you can't buy like 10 pounds of weed at the pharmacy because then they know you're selling it. And so they limit your doses. That's why
They
they
tell
don't
you you can grow it though.
No, that's true.
Grow your own weed.
And I totally agree with that. So you should be able to make your own meth in that regard.
Yeah, I guess, but
But I think the crime part would decrease incredibly. That's why the cartels and all that shit, they want it illegal. Because if it was legal,
Absolutely.
then they would be out of business. And
all
they're
I'm
the
saying
ones
is
killing each
that your
other.
heroin addict is gonna steal a a saw from the garage to go ponds, all that's still going to be going on to feed that addiction.
By the way, I don't know if you're aware of this, but all of the drugs used to be legal
Yeah.
until Prohibition ended. And
Until
when Prohibition
started.
ended, they said, yo, we need to make something illegal here.
Yeah.
Because all the rum runners were
I mean,
out of business.
I agree to decriminalizing drugs, but I don't think it's good to sell them on the streets legally. I don't think people are going to do drugs because they're legal.
Shit.
I mean, but then again, it's good to experiment, right? It's good to experiment and see for yourself how these things
Well,
affect
I'm
you.
sure they've seen it in other countries, but that doesn't really. It doesn't. It's not. It's like gun laws in other countries. You can't say that United States is unique in a lot of regards. So you can't say, well, in Denmark everybody's got a gun, and or in Australia they banned guns and the gun rate went down because everybody in Australia is Australians. They all look the same. They all sound the same. They all say, yeah, let's go have a Foster's. But here, you got all sorts of different types of people, and I just don't. I don't know. I just don't see that sort of thing ending. That's why gun laws, I think, are bad, just like drug laws are bad, because you're not going to prevent it. I don't know.
We got any good local news?
Well, one of my little bugaboos, I got so excited because the headline says, owners to register vacant buildings. I moved to Bremerton in 2001, and the building, there are these large buildings on Pacific Avenue that had been empty, and they're still empty. It makes Bremerton look like it's abandoned.
Because the owner has a shit ton of money and they don't care?
I don't know why they're empty. They're beautiful buildings.
Oh,
The one has brown paper in the window,
Uh-huh. Oh,
so
yeah.
it's abandoned.
Yeah.
But it turns out it's not going to touch those kind of people. They have now,
Oh, really?
they want to register the owners, and they can't even really find some of the owners because some of the buildings are run by other people.
Or law
Managers,
offices,
yeah.
probably.
And they're saying the reason they want them registered is it would be easier for the fire department in case a fire
Oh,
started.
jeez.
And that's the whole point.
And that's the thing too, is because just sometimes I dream, and one of my dreams would be to have my own comedy club in downtown
Mm-hmm.
Bremerton. And I see some of those buildings down there that would look fucking perfect for it.
You know the building that's sort of reddish colored?
Yeah, it's right by the El Bacan, right?
Yeah, that's where that is. But just a little further down, they used to have a jazz club. I don't know if you remember that, but it's a cool venue there. That would be so amazing to have something in there like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the other thing that they should be registering their buildings for is the squatters. It's just,
Yeah.
when you look at this building, and it's a haven for, mischief, I would think.
Want to go to the old Sizzler and get some grub?
Well, I think just the people should be responsible for their buildings. I mean, you can't just leave your
Yeah.
place and let it become decrepit. It's an eyesore. I mean, they even said that about, what's it called down here? Natasha's. Remember when there was the big hullabaloo about all the junk in their yard?
Oh,
and it was an
yeah.
eyesore, and they went to court and fought all the time. It's like, well,
It
okay,
took
they
them-
know this owner, and they go right
Yeah.
after him for an eyesore. Well, why didn't you do it to that stupid building?
Yeah, and it took decades though to clean that mess out.
Yeah. And now it's burned down. They're still taking time to.
Yeah.
I heard Brewski's was possibly going under renovation.
That'd be
Really?
sweet.
Yeah.
You know what? I couldn't get happy in that place because I like to go into bars by myself, and they had this really short bar,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really hard to start a conversation. And I think it was only 6 seats anyway.
Yeah.
And so most people come in with someone, and they never encouraged.
I usually sat around the fire pit that they had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little more spacious right there. It'd be a pretty cool spot for
Well, I
comedy.
think part of the deal is with these bars that close, or even buildings that close, is once they close, then they have to enter a whole new series of inspections and upgrade everything. If, like Hi-Fi, for example, it stayed the Hi-Fi because the owner still owns it under his name, then they don't have to put in new fire extinguisher or fire sprinkler systems and stuff
I
like
see.
that.
Yeah.
So like the Horse and Cow downtown, that used to be a different bar.
Yeah, it was a Mexican restaurant, I believe,
And
before
remember
the
there was that
Horse and Cow.
upstairs, and I used to play music up there, and so there's a great spot. But when they closed the building down, or that bar down, and then they reopened as the Horse and Cow, they had to do millions of dollars in renovation for just the bottom, and then the upstairs still closed because they
Yeah.
haven't done that part.
You know,
They have to redo the electrical. They have to redo like, the sprinkler systems every 10 feet or something crazy. So it's just really expensive to get it started, and nobody wants to do it, so then it just sits.
and that is the problem, because you can't fix one thing. If you fix something,
Right.
then you're no longer grandfathered in, and you have to fix everything.
Yeah,
So a lot of places just,
it's better to just start over
yep,
or take over someone else's lease.
yeah.
Alright, I'm ready to watch some football. What about you
All
guys?
right, let's do it. I'm tired. Have a nice day.